Hey guys, welcome to this masterclass on how to break into cloud and DevOps in 2026. My name is Anwar. I'm going to be guiding you through step by step on this career transformation. Remember, this is not just any random course, this is a career transformation program. Okay, this masterclass is completely free. It's about going to be 30 to 45 minutes, and by the end, you should have a clear picture of how you could break into cloud and DevOps in 2026, even if you have no experience. So there's no fluff. We're just going to go through the exact roadmap, and this is the roadmap that I use for all my previous students that have now gone into a very lucrative roles. So let's get started. So what is the opportunity? First, let's talk about why cloud and DevOps specifically. Okay, so there's about over 100,000 unfulfilled or unfilled cloud and DevOps roles in the UK at the moment. So not globally, we're just focused on the UK. So every single company, so you're talking about startups to banks to the NHS, all of them, all of those industries runs on the cloud infrastructure, or they have applications or systems that run on the cloud infrastructure. And most of them don't have enough people to manage it. And you can expect a starting salary ranging from 40k if you want to start from a junior level all the way up to 80k plus. So AWS engineers are in the top 5 most hired tech roles in the country. So these are just statistics, and these are real facts that should really get your attention as to why you should take on this specific field and why it's so lucrative. The problem is not the jobs. A lot of people think that the problem is lack of jobs or the economy or whatever they hear. That's not the issue. The issue is there's a lack of qualified people, and that's exactly what we're gonna fix, and that's exactly what I'm prepared to show you in this roadmap. So now within cloud and DevOps, there are 3 main paths that you can take. I want you to really think as you're listening to what I'm describing to you, which one do you think might be, the most intriguing, or which one do you feel like you're more curious about? So the first one is AWS Cloud Engineer. So you're basically responsible for designing, deploying, and managing an entire cloud infrastructure. So when I say infrastructure, it's like building a house. So every application on the cloud has to live on a foundation, and that's the infrastructure. And when you build a house, you think of the construction workers as the cloud engineer. Why? Because they're the ones responsible for building the groundwork and the foundations of the house or the building that they're building. So you're responsible for basically the entire infrastructure. So you'll be using AWS, EC2. These are services that's used in AWS. IAM is another example. S3. These become your daily tools. So entry level jobs start between 38 to 50k. So the second one is DevOps engineers. So once you build the infrastructure, then you hand over the role to a DevOps engineer, which is your development operations engineer. So you automate everything. You make sure the day-to-day, it runs smoothly, like how the application is monitored on the platform. So you build a complete pipeline which has a lot of automation in that pipeline. You make sure you containerize applications so they're more scalable. You set up Kubernetes clusters, etc. So you're the person who makes deployments happen in seconds instead of days, which was how it used to be a long time ago. The entry level for this is about 40 to 52k. The third and the most final one is a platform or site reliability engineer. So what that means is you build the internal platforms that a whole engineering team relies on to use the infrastructure. So this is the highest level or the highest earning of all 3, and the entry level starts at 42 all the way up to 58. So if you're not sure which one, don't worry. By the end of week 2, this specific program will tell you or give you an idea as to which one fits your personality and your goals. So I will make sure that every single student figures out what they want to do and you're not confused. I don't want you to finish the entire program and then realize by the end of week 8 that you still don't know what path you want to take. You'll know by week 2 or week 3. Okay? So certifications in this field matters. It's not like every field in tech, but let's talk about certifications a little bit, because this is where a lot of people waste months and months of their life. So now, certs that actually get you hired is different to like just a random certification that you get from a program, or you need to really know what that certification, what kind of job that will land you. You need to know what you're going to be learning and how can you actually apply what you've learned from that certification into real world projects. Okay, so what you should avoid is Udemy certificates or any of these certificates from other courses or boot camps that are just focused on finishing the program. But what you should focus on is industry standard certificates. And these industry standard certificates are listed here, a few of them: AWS Solutions Architect, Cloud Practitioner, Terraform Associate, Kubernetes Certified. So in theory, you can get one of these certificates and land a job. But what I recommend in this program, or every student that comes, is that you need to shine and be kind of outstanding from the crowd. So what you should do is do the certificates, do at least one of them, and within the 8-week period, and then also apply them into projects, or do a project that will apply what you've learned in those certificates into it. Okay, so this moves on to the next slide, which will tell you exactly the common mistakes that a lot of people make. And I'm going to be very, very honest with you about the 3 mistakes that I've seen in my 10 years or 11 years of teaching and being an instructor. The first one is skipping. I just mentioned one thing that a lot of people skip, a lot of students skip, but skipping topics that are very, very important will cost you later. So for example, skipping Linux and CLI or command line. Most beginners jump straight into AWS, or they go and learn one of the hardest services in AWS without being comfortable in a terminal. Okay, you will hit a wall in week 1 of any cloud job, because it's the basic requirement for you to do well in that job, which is for you to be good at terminal, and command line. If you can't navigate through Linux, we need to fix that problem. So in week 1 of the program, all we focus on is Linux. Mistake 2 is applying all these learning tools in complete isolation without actually building anything. And this is links to the certificate that I spoke about in the previous slide. You're doing the certificate, you're watching tutorials, which is all good, but you never actually build an end-to-end pipeline. So employers see through immediately in interviews the difference between someone who just has just learned something and someone who's actually applied what they've learned. You need to complete a project. That's what you need to do. You need to do a complete project, and that's the only way you can actually showcase your skills, if you complete a project. The last mistake is no visibility. So no GitHub portfolio, all the configurations, all your pipelines, manifests, these need to live somewhere on GitHub or any other platform. Without proof of code, you're basically invisible to recruiters or employers, and it doesn't matter how many programs or courses you've done. So these are the 3 main mistakes that I've seen. There's quite a lot more, but in our 8-week program, this is designed to actually eliminate all of this. Okay, right. So this is my favorite slide, because I want to show you what you'll actually be doing as a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a Terraform. On the left hand side, a Terraform infrastructure as code. So that command, Terraform apply, is provisioning a real AWS infrastructure. Okay, an EC2 instance and an S3 bucket, built and is built automatically from code in seconds. So this is what you do every single day as a cloud engineer. Okay, and now we move on to the Kubernetes terminal, which is on the right hand side. And here, this CTL, the Kubernetes command line, we're looking at pods that run in the production cluster. So you've got API deployments, you've got front end, Redis cache, all containerized and orchestrated and managed from one command line. This is not just theory. This is the actual work that you'll be doing. And by week 6 of the program, you'll be doing exactly this on your own environment. So this is my environment. You'll be doing it in your own environment. So everything runs in the cloud, and you'll be doing real labs to actually practice. This is not just simulation. This is actual real practice. Okay. Now, I want you to hear from people who are sitting exactly where you are now. So Jordan came through the cloud and DevOps track. The projects that we built together is what was exactly employers were looking for in the interviews. He had a real AWS infrastructure to show from day one. So, and Khalid was earning 22k as an admin, and he's now a cloud engineer at 48k, and he had no coding knowledge when he started. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of other testimonials, as you can see here. Now I'm going to show you a little bit about the roadmap and what actually it contains. So let me walk you through what each week entails. So week 1, like I said, Linux fundamentals and Bash, SSH, permissions, all of that is included. So this is all the foundation, so that everything else sits on. Week 2 is when we start to dive in more into AWS core services. So you've got EC2, S3, IAM. So these are real services in AWS that's used by the industry. It's very popular. So you'll have real AWS resources running by the end of the week, end of week 2. Week 3 is when we start going into Docker containers and Dockerfile. So images, you'll start to containerize your first application. And then week 4, you'll be focused more on Kubernetes, pods, services, deployments. This is where it starts to really feel like engineering. Week 5 is when we focus on Terraform and infrastructure as code, module state management, etc. Yeah, this goes straight onto your GitHub. All of it goes straight into your GitHub. Then week 6, we move on to CI/CD pipelines, so GitHub Actions, Jenkins, and automated deployments from code that's committed to production. And in week 7 and 8, the reason why week 7 and 8 is not focused on anything new and it's purely on career and job ready, is because we want to tweak and finalize and polish your portfolio in these 2 weeks. I don't want you to wait until the end and start panicking. So this is a very, very prepared way of doing it. And at the end of week 8, you should know, or you should at least have achieved AWS certificate at that stage, and you start your job launch. Yeah, and you start to apply for jobs. So by week 8, you're AWS certified, you have a Terraform and Kubernetes portfolio, and you're actively applying. That's the output. It's as simple as that. Okay, so what do you get? Here's everything that's included in the program. Weekly live sessions. You've got an entire AWS sandbox lab access, so you get a real environment where you can start practicing how to use all these services. You've got projects that you'll be doing through Docker and Kubernetes, and you've got Terraform projects as well. You've got 2 mock interviews or multiple mock interviews that's included, CV review, optimization, and a job tracker platform to manage all your applications, follow-ups, and offers all in one place. So let me show you the platform briefly. A test account. Okay. So the first thing that you'll see is the main dashboard. Okay. And what you have in the main dashboard is a very, very in-depth, done for you tracker of everything that you need. Yeah. So if I continue to week 1, so the first things first, you'll see a launch pad as soon as you go into a specific week. And this launch pad is supposed to give you an idea, a visual idea of what you're going to be learning that week. So you have an architecture map. As you can see, you have all the areas that you'll be working on that week. So, and how it connects. Okay, then you've got key concepts or any new terms or definitions that you will learn in that week. And what you can do is you can, click on them and figure out how actually, what it links to. You have analogies there, and you've got a simple quiz here that you can test, or quiz yourself at the end of the week, just to test your knowledge. It's not too long. The quiz is about 6 questions. So this is a launch pad. Okay, then we move on to the labs. Now the labs is more monitored by your instructor, and this will be on a weekly basis. So you've got 3 labs in total that you'll be doing every week, which you'll have to submit and complete. As you can see, the first lab was approved by instructor. There's feedback here given, and you will have clear details of what the objectives will be for that lab. And remember, you're not going to be doing the labs alone. If you need help, or you need support, you will be given help and support during the sessions or the live sessions. But it's your duty to actually carry out the work. Remember, I said earlier, there's no point learning something without applying the knowledge. So even if you get stuck, you have someone to actually help you and support you. You're not going to be stuck alone or forever, okay? But you will have to submit this, and it will be approved and tracked each week. And then you've got reading material. Now this is something optional for you to do. You don't have to, carry out any of the reading, but it is encouraged for you to read, especially before you come to the sessions. So as you can see here, this student has done 2 out of the 5. Each week there's a certain target that you need to do or need to read before you come to the sessions, and the point is so you can build your curiosity and your eagerness to learn for that topic, okay? And this is just going to help you learn more about the area or the subject. It's all different types, so you've got videos and articles that you can read, documentation. And then the last thing is notes. So weekly notes are submitted and uploaded by your instructor, and labs as well to help you with your labs. So there's lots of checklists, cheat sheets, references, commands that if you forget, you don't need to worry about. It's all there for you, okay? A list of commands that maybe you might have forgot, but it's there for you. So this is all there for you, basically an entire system done for you to help you with your learning and to make it easier for you, okay? So we move on to the interview prep. Like I said earlier, so week 7 and 8 is purely on preparing for interviews and your job launch, okay? And we have an interview preparation guide for you, which is program specific. As you can see here, it's only for this specific program, and there's tons of questions here that you will get asked if you were in a real interview. So these are real interview questions, and you'll have the chance to speak to your instructor, who will give you the mock interviews, and you'll have a chance to do quite a lot of practice, okay, as to what type of technical questions you might get, what type of behavioral questions that you might get, etc. Okay, so all is here for you. Is very in detail. So as you can see, here's quite a lot of resources here, interview techniques that you can read. But the main thing is that you just practice. There's no point these resources being here if you don't actually take it into your own hands and practice. That's the only way you'd actually get better and make the mistakes. The point is that if you make the mistakes in front of your instructor, then you'll be more better off in the actual interview, and you won't have that anxiety. You'll be more confident, etc. Once all that's done, you finish that, then you come to the job tracker. So this is the most important part. So this is where your instructor will lead your job tracker journey and your job launch. So in this column here, your instructor will source the applications for you, and it will pop up on this column. And all you have to do is, obviously at that point, your CV is polished, your portfolio is all good, everything is good, you have your certificate and you're ready. And the best case scenario is that you're just waiting to just apply for jobs. So all you do is just you drag applications across that you have applied to, and once you get a response, then you book a call. It's very simple. Once you get a response, you book a call. We go back, we do the interviews or the mock interviews, and that's it. So this is all like a done for you system, which will basically give you everything you need to just sit down and actually do the work. So there's no need for you to track anything. There's no need for you to, start being anxious about whether you'll get a job. All of that is given to you. All you have to do is just sit down and carry out the labs. Make sure you come to the sessions on time. Make sure you actually do the labs to the best of your ability. You're not, cutting corners. You're not being lazy about your learning. You do the reading. You come prepared in the sessions. All of that, everything that we expect of you as a student, and we'll do our best to actually accommodate you and make sure your journey is easy and your career transformation actually happens smoothly. One last thing I want to talk about is the certification. So I said earlier that this specific field requires certificates. So you can have, there is a module here that you can see all the certificates that you can potentially get. So we recommend something foundational or associate, but you can do the professional, but that will come later. So once you pick one of these foundation or associate certificates, you can see here the breakdown of how much it will cost, what the pass mark is, etc., the duration and how long it's valid for, and what the key skills is that you need to actually do well in the exam. So you'll get a lot of practice with your instructor. Like I said, you're not going to be left alone. Okay, so let's talk about investment. So cloud and DevOps boot camps originally or traditionally, look at £5,000 to £15,000. That's the market rate. And an AWS cloud engineer in their first year earns about £40,000, £55,000. This program is only £697 and less than 2.5% of your first year's salary. So 1 month of work in your new career pays for the entire program. So I'm offering this as a one-time payment or 2 installments if paid today, and the second installment paid 30 days later. So you can get started. You get everything I just walked you through: 8 weeks of live training, real labs, real projects, certificate preparation, post-program job search support, etc. And there's a results guarantee. So if you complete the program, you meet the requirements, you don't land an interview within 90 days, you get 50% of your entire money back. And I stand by this, and this will be written in an agreement and everything. So there's limited spots available. Once they're gone, the next cohort won't be until later in the year. So if you have any questions, please contact me at anwar@learnfinity.co.uk or support@learnfinity.co.uk, and let's get started. Thanks.